Welcome into Weekly Champions on Wrestling Spotlight TV. It's our WrestleMania preview show, and in tradition, the second annual WrestleMania preview show with Sonny, the Man Eagle Cain, and Mr. Cincinnati from the Wrestling Junkies Podcast. Before we hop on the plane and fly out to WrestleMania for Wrestling Spotlight's coverage of all the events surrounding WrestleMania, we got some great special programming coming up on the channel that you can tune in and check out as you get ready to head out there. Talking to Titus O'Neil, WWE Hall of Famer and their ambassador. He's talking about all the work that WWE does, and also talking about his book, There's No Such Thing as a Bad Kid, and fatherhood. So some great content there from Titus. Talking to Keith Elliott Greenberg about his book, Bigger, Better, Badder, How WrestleMania 3 Changed Everything. It's a great interview with a guy who's been involved with WWE way back to the days of Bruno Sammartino wrestling for the championship in the Garden. So hitting some literature. There's Titus O'Neil's book, There's No Such Thing as a Bad Kid, and Wrestling with Fatherhood, My Championship Journey to My Greatest Title Dad, Keith Elliott Greenberg's book. And then we just are getting the wraps up on a preview of the events going around WrestleMania, because it's not just the WWE events. It takes over the Metro. Talking with the David Difference from Future Stars of Wrestling and the voice of MLW and GCW, Joe Dombrowski, talking about all of the other matches going on. He's working Dragon's Gate. He's working Juggalo Championship Wrestling. So he's going to be there, and also at WrestleCon. Just a crazy packed week. And joined, though, now by the Man Eagle, Sonny Cain, and Mr. Cincinnati. And guys, are you ready for WrestleMania? Well, Mr. Cincinnati, what do you think? Is it time?
This is my absolute favorite time of the year. There's no shortage of great wrestling, great content. Everybody's stepping their game up, and that's the name of the game this time of year. This is the season finale, essentially, of the wrestling calendar, and all eyes are on Las Vegas. So we're certainly a part of a couple of big shows happening during WrestleMania week as well, which I'm sure that we'll get into in a little bit. But I am absolutely ready. It's my favorite time of the year.
And Sonny, we're coming off of a major pay-per-view. AEW Dynasty just took place in Philadelphia, the site of last year's WrestleMania. So they get a major pay-per-view back-to-back Aprils, which makes sense. It's a great city for pro wrestling. Are you pumped up for WrestleMania? You had Dynasty coming up to Mania. How you feeling going into this week?
Very excited about WrestleMania coming up. I look forward to it every year. This year I'll actually get to see WrestleMania if all goes well. And looking forward to all of the matches. The build-up's been out of this world. And I did get a thing on my notes this week that Flair will not be appearing at WrestleMania 41 due to an AEW contract he is still under. So that's
he's going to be in the city, though. He's appearing at WrestleCon. So you can see the Nature Boy if you're out there. But hey, I wanted to ask you specifically, because I know this one hits home for you as a personal connection. Your trainer, the Russian Bear himself, Ivan Koloff, long overdue induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. Take a couple minutes. Tell us a little bit about the guy you affectionately refer to as Uncle Ivan.
He was a gentleman in real life, and if he cared about you, he was very much like my mother. He would tell you how he felt. About 10 years ago, after he passed in 2017, I told Miss Koloff that I had seen a list of WWE inductees. They make these lists usually about 10 years out, Mr. Cincinnati, so you can actually go to the website and see. And I told her I'd seen his name up there for this year, and she didn't believe he'd ever get it. Ivan wanted it because he and I had talked about opening up a training camp together and being partners at a training camp and me doing the training. And he wanted to make extra money from it. When the guys get the WWE Hall of Fame induction, the WWE pays them an extra $2,000 for each public appearance that they make on top of their picture sales. So Ivan worked picture tables like a job. And that's my fondest memory of him. He once called me up and told me he was bored sitting at home. And I said, well, go out and sign some autographs. You'll feel better. And he did it. He called me back and said, you're right. I feel better. And I said, well, anything else I could do to help you? But we talked about it. He went up there in 2016 and thought he was going to get in that year. He took his friend Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant with him, an Angel, and his wife, Miss Koloff, and they sat at a table, and he didn't get in. But he did mention my name to Vince McMahon that year and asked him what he thought about my chances would be. And McMahon told him it was a little more than being the standout, and I would have to do a little bit more to be considered, but he didn't tell him no. So anyway, John Cena sat with Ivan at his picture table that year, and they had a good 2-hour talk, and he looked up to Cena a lot. So I thought that was humbling.
Yeah, very neat. Very good memories and well-deserved recognition because, man, he was a great champion and a true heel because he could generate that reaction just by walking out to the ring, and then the pairing with Nikita and with Crusher Khrushchev. I mean, they definitely ran wild through the old NWA Championship Wrestling from Georgia Rings and the Crockett territories and part of WCW. So definitely one of the legends of pro wrestling. And then Dory Funk Jr. and Kamala, the Ugandan giant, also making it.
Yeah. Well, that's what got me to Ivan was the fact that he had trained Nikita, and I knew he had been a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. What I did not know at the time was because we didn't have the internet, Ivan had also been a World Championship Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, WCW. And one afternoon, true story, I indirectly insulted him, and we had 2 rings at the school, and this was about 4 or 5 weeks into it, and there was a 18x18 ring at the school and a 16x16. We climbed into 16x16. School ran 4 hours. We wrestled 3.5. Ivan and I did back to back, and he said after that afternoon he knew that I had really paid attention and had caught on enough to pass. And oddly enough, I was training at Ricky Steamboat's gym and in Charlotte, and Steamboat said something to Ivan on my behalf, and I graduated at the end of 3 months. So I know a guy going to school today. He's been going for a year. He doesn't know when he'll graduate. So, the schools have changed a lot from the time when I did.
Yeah, I mean, good thing is there are a lot of really credible wrestling schools out there.
There are
probably none more than Future Stars of Wrestling, which is in the Las Vegas area. They're going to be hosting something that I know, Mr. Cincinnati, you and I have both talked quite a bit about. Future Stars Wrestling is going to be part of the WWE ID Championship Tournament.
Yes.
Which I think is just a great move by WWE to incorporate without taking over the independent territories. It's really been a program that I think has added a lot of electricity to some of the independent shows because now there's something even closer to aspire to because you get that ID tag. now you're one match. I mean, you're literally one match away from being at the worldwide leader. I mean, that's been
huge.
Huge.
It really has. I mean, when we look at, and I kind of want to just take it back to NXT this week, looking at Swipe Right, Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes getting the opportunity, first ID prospects to wrestle on NXT, and they wrestled Fraxium, who arguably best tag team in the world right now, certainly the best tag team in WWE, at least in our opinion, at the Wrestling Junkies. So I mean, this is an absolute game changer here. That there's obviously concern because we have seen WWE attempt these partnerships and attempt this, this partnership with independent wrestling before, and usually doesn't do anything to benefit anybody other than WWE. So it does remain to be seen kind of the long-term effect of having this program here. But for right now, looking at the opportunities and with everybody swarming on to Vegas, all eyes are on WWE, but also on the indies, because you never know who's going to pop up. You never know what kind of opportunity is going to await. So, they're making the path easier than ever, as far as, okay, here's kind of what you can do to get to WWE. That doesn't mean that you don't have to put in the work, but they're at least making opportunities to be noticed by WWE more accessible than they ever have been before. So it's very, very exciting. There's no shortage of talented people that deserve these opportunities. And with the ID prospect, or with the ID championship tournament, they're going to be crowning inaugural champions, but this is a title that anybody on the independent scene can win. So again, that path is there. It's just, what work are you going to put in to get yourself noticed and get yourself an ID championship match?
Yeah, I mean, you're right there. There's a non-ID wrestler from GCW that is in the tournament, and there's a chance he could win it all. And then there you go. You win the title and you get a contract. So that's really amazingly exciting. I mean, it's right there. And you got so many shows going on. Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be on several shows. Effie, who's one of the stars of independent wrestling.
Yes.
Michael Okua from Rev Pro is going to be there. Our guest later on this week on the channel, your champion from Championship Wrestling of Memphis, your women's champion, Nixie XS. Flying, I'm not quite sure about this, but she's flying in on her Learjet from Paris.
Must be nice.
But, she's going to be there, and excited because she's going to be attending shows in a city that has the greatest collection of Louis Vuitton stores in the world, with 7 Louis Vuitton stores in a 1.5 mile circle. So, she's going to be getting herself some new bags, I'm sure. But you got lots of matches going on, lots of excitement, and it's just going to be a crazy week. And we'll have more if you tune into the channel. You can get some more information and more nuggets about Mania week coming up. I wanted to hit on Dynasty quick, though, too. Some of the matches I thought were really good in moving forward AEW. AEW's been on, I think, a rebound. The feeling's back, the vibe's back, like Kenny Omega said. Anthony Bowens, he makes his return and slaps down Platinum Max Caster, which I think that's going to spin out into a little bit of a story. The 5-tool player, Anthony Bowens, great worker, and it was good to see Billy Gunn back. New addition to AEW. They kicked off the main show. Kevin Knight from New Japan Wrestling taking on Will Ospreay. I hadn't been super familiar with Kevin Knight. I'd seen a couple of matches, but man, an amazing athlete. Went move for move with Will Ospreay, and he's still going to be a presence in New Japan Wrestling, which I think is a great idea in AEW, continuing to build that partnership with New Japan. What did you think of Kevin Knight and Will Ospreay's match to kick off Dynasty? Mr. Cincinnati.
So we had a lot of talk about this one on the podcast because I'm pretty sure Kevin Knight was a last-minute replacement for Jay White, injured, knee surgery. So, this was one that no doubt that it was going to be a great match, but there was some talk of who might actually win this match here. There were a few people within the Main Event Wrestling Network that thought this is a great way to introduce Kevin Knight with a win here. But ultimately, Ospreay winning is the right move. I mean, I think the larger story is getting Ospreay to All In to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. Mm-hmm. But for Kevin Knight to have a platform like this with a top 3 wrestler in the world, look fantastic. This was a great opener. You want something fast paced. It's going to get people standing on their feet and going banana. And they absolutely accomplished that. Kevin Knight is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in the months and years to come for AEW. Allowing him to continue to work with New Japan is great because AEW needs to keep those partnerships alive. We're seeing how well WWE is doing with their TNA partnership, and obviously with the ID program and Evolve. That AEW, if they can keep this relationship with New Japan alive and find some ways to incorporate more of their talent into their stories other than just Forbidden Door, other than just Wrestle Dream. This is a great way to do it. And following that up last night on Dynamite with Kevin Knight teaming up with Will Ospreay in an 8-man tag, sky's the limit for him. It is going to be about the follow-up because we saw this before with Action Andretti getting a win over Chris Jericho. He's not quite the trajectory in hindsight that we would have expected based on that win with what he's doing right now. But it's really going to be about the follow-up. They seem to really like what they have in Kevin Knight. He gets a chance to work with Will Ospreay twice in 1 week. So I'm intrigued to see where it goes.
And then let's go to the women's championship match that you and I talked about, Sonny. Timeless Toni Storm coming out in her Rocky Balboa gear, complete with running up the steps. Luther, dressed like Mickey, survives against Megan Bayne, the goddess. What did you think of that match? Megan Bayne is going to be a future champion. I'm quite confident of that. Maybe at All In. What did you think?
Megan Bayne was just practicing. I thought she's clearly going to be the champion, I think, and in the not so distant future. Was real happy about Timeless Toni Storm. I'm a huge fan, but it's Megan Bayne all the way going forward, I think.
Well, I know you're a big fan of watching the Timeless Toni Storm marathons on Turner Classic Movies. And they show some of her greatest hits. Yeah. A champion change, 2 championship changes. Bandito gets the Ring of Honor title, keeps his mask. Chris Jericho's bat ended up coming back to hurt him. Now he can go after being the D's because he's not the Nueve anymore. Miss Cincinnati, you like Bandito winning the belt, and maybe this is time to kind of give Ring of Honor a little bit more attention because that's something AEW could do to build up that network with the independents following on what WWE's doing with Evolve.
100%. Not really surprising that this match makes it on the card with what Jericho is being paid by AEW. You need to put him on TV to justify the contract, which I get. Was not a fan of the finish. I don't think that we needed the shenanigans as far as the baseball bat in order to take the title off of Bandito. They told a good enough story, and I really haven't loved much of what Chris Jericho's done over the last, let's just say, 18 months as a conservative estimate. But this would have been an opportunity to, really make Bandito a star here, give him a defining victory here, but it was mired in the shenanigans and getting the restart that it personally took me out of it. I am very much in the camp of Chris Jericho fatigue in AEW right now. And if last night was any indication, sounds like he's going to be taking some time off, which absence makes the heart grow fonder, but I don't think I'll be that guy.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to take the clean loss there. Sonny, is that kind of what happens when, okay, we're going to make this change, and that's where the convoluted finishes come from, the quote-unquote dusty finish?
Sometimes the dusty finish has been around a long time, and a lot of different players have used it. Flair used it on several different occasions, and it's used in poor taste. The Dusty finish was actually a spur of the moment finish, and when it was introduced, and since then it's been the finish of all time as far as bloopers or bleepers have gone in wrestling. And what happened was Dusty and Flair were fighting, and Dusty's knee gave out, and that was the pin. And from that day forward, they called it the Dusty Rhodes finish. And I've never liked it as a finish. I like a much stronger finish, a different angle, more athleticism in the match. Did hear this week that Chris Jericho was in talks with WWE now again, so I don't know.
Said he would be interested in going back.
Had anything to do.
I don't know. I think he's signed up for a little
out.
while still. Yeah, I think he's just being smart and leaving the doors open. Well, the match that I thought was going to go the way it did, and it did. It's the first individual title, and actually the first, I believe, AEW gold for Adam Cole, baby, as he is your new TNT champion. Previously, he was the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion with MJF. Adam Cole beating Daniel Garcia. I mean, the Daniel Garcia TNT title run just never really took off, and given in the spirit of CM Punk, if you're going to use them, you better use them now. The last couple of years, injuries, the concussion syndrome, it's been a miserable 2-year stretch for Adam Cole. Yeah, he looks in the best shape he's been in since he's been in AEW. I think it's definitely time to go ahead and give him the belt. 2 Panama Sunrises and the boom, and he's your TNT champion. Did they make the right move there, Mr. Cincinnati?
They definitely did, because this title needs something. It's been a while since there has been a quality TNT title run. I mean, I can't tell you how many times over the last year that we have forgotten who the TNT champion is, whether it be Daniel Garcia or Jack Perry. It's unfortunate because it seems like the only reason the title was put on Daniel Garcia is to keep him from going to WWE, because we're seeing how well Ricky Saints is being booked right now. We're seeing how well Ethan Page is being booked right now. Daniel Garcia would be right there in that class if things had shaken out differently to where he did end up not re-signing. He probably would have a prominent spot at Stand and Deliver right now. So it is unfortunate that this was kind of just done as to placate him. Now the title's off of him. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I mean, even when he was TNT champion, it didn't feel like his presence was really felt on TV. So I think it's just going to be more of the same. If there's anybody that's got a shot at rehabilitating this title, it is Adam Cole. Whether he can do that as a babyface remains to be seen. But it does sound like Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, I think they're going by the Paragon now or something along those lines. Maybe this is just a fresh start for everybody involved, and hopefully that means for this title too.
Yeah, I think Daniel Garcia is going to get a run. It's just a matter of getting a little more personality behind him. It does help that he has Daddy Magic as a manager for him. I think that's important. Yeah. I was at the press conference where Tony Khan talked about how important Daniel Garcia is for the future, and that he's a big part when he came back out and All In. And I do believe it, that they really feel super highly for him. Do you think it would help if, and I know we've talked about this, going to the soft brand split they had during the CM Punk era of Collision, and maybe that title is defended on Collision, so you know it's a destination, because there is a little bit of you kind of get lost in the weeds with the Continental Championship, the International Championship, and the TNT title, because they're all kind of parallel. And right now, I think you can safely say the belt that's around Kenny Omega's waist is elevated to being the most important of the belts. And
Yeah,
maybe
I would say so. Yeah. And especially because we might be getting the unification between Omega and Okada for the International and Continental Championships. That would certainly help because you don't necessarily need 3 main card titles, even across 2 shows. It's just not really necessary, especially because you also have Ring of Honor's set of titles. Like there's other ways that you can incorporate what you already have. So title unification is definitely a good thing in this particular circumstance. At this point, like I said, until that unification happens, I mean, they've got to figure something out, and I hope they do.
Yeah, I think it's coming. And then finally, and then we'll move on to Mania. Surprisingly, Jon Moxley continues to hold the AEW World Title in the briefcase. Got assist from the returning EVPs, the Young Bucks. Not enough help for Swerve, even though he had some backup himself, but it wasn't enough. Swerve Strickland doesn't get the job done. Jon Moxley continues your championship. This new iteration, maybe with the Bucks helping him, is that enough to give the Death Riders a little bit of extra juice? And do you believe the internal reports from AEW that while fans are criticizing the Death Riders, the ratings show differently, and that the ratings are jumping during the segments that they come on? I mean, they're saying that's what's happening.
I think from in we take this position on our show too. Just I mean, we're fans of the product. It doesn't necessarily affect how we enjoy it as far, to know what the numbers do. However, 100%. I just find that so hard to believe. I really, really do. I don't want to speak for everybody here or anything like that. This story just isn't working for me. I just find it. I'll just start with. I find it absolutely absurd that your world championship, your top prize, has not physically been seen on TV in the better part of 6 months. I don't understand the law. Even if you are, even with the Death Riders, if you are Jon Moxley, if you're trying to destroy AEW from within, there's got to be any other number of ways that you can still demonstrate that you're the world champion without just parading out around a briefcase that we hope that the title is in. I wonder if the Young Bucks return has anything to do with the fact that Jay White is out, needed surgery. Seems like he might have been in that heel turn spot, and that seems like what they were teasing over these last few months here. And it could have been the start of something really, really good for Jay White, which is unfortunate because with the exception of the last, let's just say 3 to 4 months, his AEW run has not been quite what we expected coming off of what he was doing in New Japan when everybody was flocking to sign him. But overall, this story still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Bucks came out on Dynamite last night essentially saying that helping Moxley to retain was a peace offering and wanting to work with the Death Riders. Doesn't make sense why the Founding Fathers want to team up with the organization that wants to take down that company from within. I am trying to remain invested, but it's very difficult.
Well, it is a convoluted story. I guess if you keep going enough, I mean, as long as you have emotion, if it's love or hate, that's okay. So if people are so upset with it that they're wanting them to lose, I guess that's an okay direction to go. Yeah. It's just if nobody cares that it's a problem. And obviously they're building towards All In. It's their answer to WrestleMania. So I think that's where we see the big title change. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of status quo changes coming up in May. That's mostly going to be the Owen Hart Classic determining who goes after the title. Well, hey, let's move on to WrestleMania as we're rolling in here. Wrapped up Dynasty. WrestleMania coming up at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Just going to be an amazing event as WrestleMania actually generates more revenue for the city that hosts it than the Super Bowl does. And you'll have a direct comparison in a city that's hosted a Super Bowl recently. And I think you'll see it's going to be obvious with all of the fans coming in from all around the world. It's a little bit different than the Super Bowl, where it's mostly sponsors. Not a lot of real fans even get to go to it. The only match that's so far confirmed for night one is, in fact, the main event. Now, I think this may be the match of the week. Roman Reigns, your original tribal chief, taking on CM Punk and a reinvigorated revolutionary, a visionary, Seth freaking Rollins, with Paul Heyman stuck between Roman Reigns and the person he's going to be cornering, CM Punk. I think this is going to be a great match. Honestly, I have no idea who's going to win it. I could see Seth Rollins winning it just because he's the guy outside of the Paul Heyman influence, and maybe Paul Heyman ends up costing both Roman and CM Punk. Sonny, do you have a pick for this one?
I like CM Punk's chances, but Seth Rollins keeps appearing every time they meet. So I'm kind of seeing Seth Rollins as the upset in this.
And Mr. Cincinnati?
Yeah, I'm going to say this is an unofficial pick, but I will say Seth Rollins gets the win here. But I think Seth Rollins becomes the next Paul Heyman guy. I think that Paul Heyman will eventually find that he cannot choose between these two, so he's just going to kick them both to the curb. We've seen Paul Heyman turn on just about every Paul Heyman guy during the entirety of his WWE run. It would be because he's already turned on CM Punk. Surprised everybody when he turned on Brock Lesnar. Like it's in his DNA. So even despite the loyalty, despite the last 5 years with the bloodline, Paul Heyman is a snake in the grass, and he has no problem being that snake in the grass. So we shouldn't assume that because he's older and he is the wise man that he's become more docile in his years. If anything, this is only going to make him slimier. So unofficial prediction, Seth Rollins with the help of Paul Heyman. Seth Rollins is the next Paul Heyman guy.
Okay, like that. A match that's been built up for a little bit. Rey Mysterio getting another WrestleMania match. Last year, he was teamed up with Andrade El Idolo, going up against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Bobby Lashley now teaming up with Shelton Benjamin and the Hurt Syndicate, your AEW World Champions. So we don't get that matchup, but we get Rey Mysterio going up against the new mystery luchador. I mean, who knows who El Grande Americano could possibly be? He does resemble a guy like Shorty G, but Rey Mysterio taking on the wannabe luchador El Grande Americano. This should be an entertaining match. I think the Lucha Legend beats the guy making a parody of the luchadors. Sonny, do you think the American hero El Grande Americano can take out Rey Mysterio, or is he going to eat a couple of 619s?
I don't think he can take him out, but I think it's going to be a real athletic match. I've been impressed with Americano since he started his routine up, and he can really wrestle in the ring. So it's not going to be a 10-minute thing. It's going to go for a little while, I think.
Yeah, he wrestles with an Olympian style, you could almost say.
Identify.
What do you think of El Grande Americano so far, Mr. Cincinnati? Is he insulting the traditional lucha libre, or is it kind of a fun little bit of comedic relief from a guy who really has found himself as a solid contributor with a little bit of a comedy angle to him, despite being a tremendous competitor?
Yeah, this is, and I know this one's dividing the internet, and I think that this is awesome for Chad Gable, because when we look at the landscape of the WrestleMania card, there are not very many one-on-one matches that are booked for this card. There are a lot of people, myself included, that think I think he should have gotten the Sami Zayn spot last year to take the title off of Gunther. It didn't happen. That's okay. Chad Gable has worked his tail off throughout this last year. It took him a little longer than it should have to end the American Alpha Alliance and get American Made going, admittedly. They did suffer some critical losses when getting mixed up with the LWO. But for people that are saying, oh, well, it's El Grande Americano and not Chad Gable, this is an insult. This is this, it's that. It's like Chad Gable's not complaining about whether he's El Grande Americano or Chad Gable. He has a one-on-one match at WrestleMania against a WWE Hall of Famer. I'm sure that his bank account is not upset that it's El Grande Americano and not Chad Gable going into WrestleMania. So we shouldn't be either. This is going to be a fun moment where he's going to get that mask ripped off. Everybody's going to go banana for it. It's going to be one of those fun, viral, make you laugh kind of moments. And he's absolutely deserved that. He has taken everything, including Shorty G, that WWE has thrown at him. And you don't hear him complain. He puts on his working boots and he gives everything that he can to whatever's being pitched for him. This is no different here. So the fact that he's getting, again, a one-on-one match at WrestleMania when there are not a whole lot of those on the card right now, especially ones that don't involve a championship.
Yeah.
Let's just have some fun with it. That's what this is.
Now, a guy who our previous guest, Joe Dombrowski, knows very well from his time as the Major League Wrestling champion, the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, gets his chance for WWE Championship gold, taking on L.A. Knight. Yeah, for the U.S. Championship. Is this the time for the Samoan werewolf to howl and get his belt? Go ahead, Mr. Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah. It is way past time. This new bloodline, or whatever they call themselves now, has floundered since the Netflix debut when they officially disbanded. We knew Jacob Fatu, this was going to be the breakout year. There had to be something that levels him up, whether it be a championship accolade or something. My pick was have him win King of the Ring. It doesn't sound like we're going to be getting either of those tournaments this year. So if that's not something he can dominate to get a moment at SummerSlam, give him a WrestleMania moment right now. Let him take the title off of LA Knight. LA Knight is, and I'm sure that we're going to be looking at some kind of roster shakeup after WrestleMania at some point anyway. So this would probably be the time to send LA Knight over to Raw and find himself in world title contention potentially. I mean, Jey Uso, I think, is likely going to walk out with the title, but I don't necessarily see it being a lengthy title run. So it's time to start lining up some potential challengers over, for the rest of 2025 and into 2026.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you are going to see some shakeup. Sonny, are you ready for the Samoan werewolf to have a belt?
I am. He proved to me this past week he can really go. And I think that's a plus that he never got ready in the bloodline routine, was he was not able to fully show his potential. And when he took the bump of the week on me from one big SOB, when he fell backwards into 4 tables and broke them all, and got back up and still wrestled some more, that told me he could go. And I think he's going to be a champion for sure in his own right.
Yeah, I agree. How about the women's championship? Tiffany Stratton taking on Charlotte Flair. I know that one's close to you. Does Charlotte Flair get her title back?
Golly. This is a tough one because this story has gone so off the rails. This match should feel... this match should feel like a much larger deal than it is. And it's unfortunate that the hype that it's getting has not been because of the initial Rumble storyline build as it is, which, in my opinion, I think that the entire card has suffered from the Rumble being in February as opposed to January, because there's an extra 2 weeks of television that you've had to consider when doing this build, and even going through said it himself on Ariel Helwani's show. But I kind of think that I would love to see Tiffany walk out with the title here, because I think that she needs this win much more than Charlotte does. We know her legacy is cemented. She will eventually break that 16 world title record of her father's, even though, I mean, she's already held more than any other woman, but it's the father-daughter connection that we've got there.
Yeah.
I just think in this moment, Tiffany has just looked so unprepared for this program, and we know that she's incredibly athletic in the ring, and that's really the only thing that saves this match, is that these two are both insanely talented. We'll see what kind of chemistry they have in the ring, though, because from what we have seen of these promos, it has been there's been a lot of heat on everybody involved for going off scripts, and kind of the sink or swim position that Tiffany Stratton has been put in. Charlotte Flair just happens to be a better swimmer, has been trying to explain away a lot of this, but I don't know what it is that this match should feel way more magic than it actually is, especially because these two are so similar in how they're presented, in their athletic abilities. They're both very, very, very convincing heels, but for whatever reason, it just has not worked so far, and it's not necessarily. I'm not necessarily excited for this match. I'm excited for it to be over, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Sonny, I know you're a big Charlotte Flair fan. How are you feeling going into this one? Yeah.
I think she's got a chance to prove herself as a competitor going for the title again. We're not used to seeing Charlotte Flair as the competitor, the same as her dad many years ago when he would find himself as the competitor in pursuit of the belt. I think it should have gotten a little more run time maybe than it has been. It's been more of a finger pointing kind of thing, and who can put who
Sure.
under the bus, as opposed to this is what we can do in the ring and show us scuffles leading up to the event. But I think the Flair always has a chance. I think if her knee holds out and they let the match run in an open match, I think Charlotte can prove herself one more time. So that's my pick.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you. I think Tiffany Stratton needs to win more, but I do think Charlotte gets it, and that establishes that record, and Tiffany can always come back and chase her again. The other women's championship's been getting more of the publicity. It's really kind of weird, because there are two co-equal men's and women's champions, but the WWE Women's World Championship with Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley in the three-way has been, I think, far and away the more anticipated matchup. And then on the men's side, Cody against John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship, way, way above right now the WWE World Championship with Gunther and Jey Uso. It's just kind of weird how that's broken out, because they're not really coming across as equal titles. Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. Who do you see coming out of this one? I'm going to pick Bianca, but I think anybody could win it. What do you think?
Yeah, anybody could. However, Io Sky needs to walk out with the world title this year. She is probably the best women's wrestler on the planet right now, and she has not always been positioned to be looked at as such. Turned a lot of heads when she beat Rhea on Raw to take the women's title. It would be a disservice to make her a transitional champion at this point, because she is so good. And they are telling the story of, you two are not going to ignore me here. I am the champion walking in here, but you guys are so busy tripping over yourselves that you're forgetting who it is that you're going to have to get into the ring with here. And I love this story because all three of these women have such a close connection from their days in NXT. A number of War Games matches. I mean, Io Sky is the greatest War Games competitor regardless of gender, because she's been in every single one for the women's division since the match unveiled itself during the pandemic. So this is a moment that she needs. Bianca is doing the slow burn heel turn story arc. There's probably something that will need to be revisited with Jade Cargill and Naomi. I think that there's more that Bianca will find herself involved in. But they are slowly teasing that evolution and that heel turn. I want to see Bianca as World Heavyweight Champion again, but not until she's turned heel. I think that we need to have that character shift where she's like, okay, one track mind, all the distractions are gone, and I'm doing what I got to do to get there. Rhea Ripley, they've been telling this story of the doubt, the crisis of self, because I'm used to being mommy and being on top of the women's division. That Liv Morgan Revenge Tour was a bit of a sidetrack, and she had to find her footing again. But she's very clearly lost her confidence, and that has led her to become desperate enough to insert herself into the Bianca Io situation to the point that she lost her title being so short-sighted and distracted that they need to continue that arc there, that she needs to suffer a major loss here. I think that Io wins. I think that Rhea takes the pinfall here, and they keep the Bianca undefeated streak, because it's one thing to lose in a triple threat, but if she's not getting pinned, then it doesn't necessarily go against her 5-0 singles record.
Yeah, doesn't hurt you as much. Sonny, who do you think wins this one? We got a split decision here. Cincinnati. Io, okay, the genius of the sky. They used to call you that too, didn't they? The man eagle. It makes sense. I mean, fly, the genius of the sky. Yeah.
Io Sky's just proven to me that she has what it takes, and like Mr. Cincinnati said, this is the first time she's got to really shine in her own light, and she is so passionate after she wins. You can't help but root for her. I mean, she just comes out charging. It's me. So who cannot be behind that? And that's what happens a lot of times in three-way matchups. You get an underdog that comes out and does better than everybody else. And I think it's too soon for Rhea Ripley, though I'm a huge fan of Rhea, to flip back and get the gold back. I think she's got to climb the ladder a little bit more. I think she will get it back, and it will be a win for her, but I just don't think it's going to be at WrestleMania.
Well, true. I mean, and it does help elevate Io Sky, because, she does seem like the also-ran, and not deserved, because she is an amazing competitor. Good takes. Well, we'll see if Bianca gets it. I'll stick with my pick. And then finally, Cody Rhodes, John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. This should be your main event, night 2. Does Cody end up with the scene reminiscent of this at the end of night 2? Or do the fans go home disappointed, and a heelish John Cena carries the WWE Undisputed Championship into the season debut of the Peacemaker? What do we think?
I gotta go Cena here. This is the time to do it. That calendar is winding down. Heaven forbid that you don't put the title on him and something happens to derail this farewell tour, like a injury of some kind that just leaves you kind of hanging. And this has been a marvelous turn for John Cena, because it has been so subtle and so nuanced in ways that I would not have expected it to be. The fact that he has not changed his entrance, his presentation, because it's, hey, you guys are dressing like me. You guys are imitating me. I was doing this. You wanted to follow along. That's my voice on the song. I don't need to change this for you. This is all me here. I created this. I am the reason that a lot of you are still here. And Cody being able to say, well, you also created a number of disenfranchised fans that made it okay for me to leave and go do something else and go start a new company to be able to make myself the star that is capable of surpassing you right now. So, it's a generational matchup. Before the heel turn happened, we talked about a lot about this on our show of, the people that we want to see John Cena wrestle. And I was vocal about Cena versus Cody. If you have a chance to do it at WrestleMania, you have to do it at WrestleMania. you could do it at SummerSlam. Sure, it wouldn't be the same. These are the faces of their respective generations. It is the richest prize in the business. Cody coming off of beating the 4-year reign of Roman Reigns, it was going to be a big deal for these two to get in the ring together. The heel turn only created additional intrigue here, but they seem poised to want to break this record. They were patient with letting Roman eclipse 1,000 days to sell 1,000 days merch. It's going to be the same thing with John Cena here. I mean, even though he's fully turned heel, the merch isn't slowing down as far as what's got John Cena's face on it for this farewell tour. So it's a secure your bags and get out, and that's going to be part of that's going to be that 17th world title. I think there's a redemption arc coming where he's eventually going to kind of snap out of it, but that's way at the end of the year here, so we don't need to worry about that yet. But yeah, it's the last time that we'll get to hear and new when it comes to John Cena. What better place to do it than WrestleMania?
Sure, can't argue with any of that. Sonny, who do you think here? John Cena or the American Nightmare?
I think it's going to be the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And I think Cena will get it, but I think Cody Rhodes has the momentum right now. He's not really imitating anybody. He's his own person. I think they're going to be interested maybe in seeing how long he can hold it at this point. And on the ring interviews, they have stood neck and neck, week in and week out, saying that I'm as good as you, you're as good as me, and here we go. But I think if anyone can pull the upset, it's Cody Rhodes.
Well, I'm going to stick with my prediction from earlier in the year that John Cena is going to get pulled back to the side of good, and Cody gets the win because he realizes hustle, loyalty, and respect is more important than taking the shortcut to get there. But could definitely see it going either way. There's nothing wrong with having one of the top grossing movie stars in the world as your heavyweight champion. Yeah. But definitely going to be interesting and building up. I mean, slightly biased opinion. I do have just out of camera forward piece of the WrestleMania ring from last year with Cody holding up the title. I have the American Nightmare undisputed WWE title belt just sitting right in front of me. So maybe a slightly biased opinion. But with that, we'll wrap it up here. We'll go with our champion of the week as we head into WrestleMania.
Hey guys, it's your girl Ash by Elegance, and you're watching me on Wrestling Spotlight.
That one shot right in front of Lincoln Financial Field last year at WrestleMania. Got the Wrestling Spotlight TV Championship here. Mr. Cincinnati, who's your champion of the week as we head into WrestleMania?
So it's not a wrestler, but it is a promotion. I want to give a shout out to Progress Wrestling out of the UK. We are partnering with them to do an official preview show of Chapter 179. This is their Las Vegas show. This is their Vegas debut. Coming up, we're going to be doing that preview show on April 15th, tax day, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, streaming live on X, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We will have a special guest, Adam Priest, who is a part of the 5-man match involving Simon Miller, Effie, Charles Crowley, and Golden Globe winner Paul Walter Hauser. So we're going to be talking about his Progress debut and how he's getting ready for this match. So again, shout out to Progress Wrestling for the opportunity to work with them on this show. Very, very excited. You guys do not want to miss this.
Got the graphic up there. You're going to get a chance to see Michael Okua from Rev Pro, and he is an amazing competitor going up against Luke Jacobs for the Progress World Championship. That's coming up from the Pearl Theater at the Palms Casino, April 17th. Late night, but it's Las Vegas. There's no such thing as late night. 11:59 p.m. Pacific. So you can definitely check that out. Some great competitors there. One called Manders going to be in the ring. He's a frequent wrestler in this part of the country and with Major League Wrestling. Sonny, who's your champion of the week?
I had a runner-up this week. My runner-up this week was Kerry Morton, who won the Ivan Koloff Tag Team Tournament with his dad, Ricky Morton, in Clayton, North Carolina. They hold it every year. right down the road from where my dad lives. But anyway, my champion of the week this week is my trainer, my friend, my mentor, Ivan the Russian Bear Koloff. And this is a little pic from 1994. Ivan and I in the locker room at a match I got for him. And it was next to his last match in the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling Alliance.
Awesome. Yeah, well-deserved for the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff. And I'm going to stick with my champion of the week from the interview with the David Difference and Joe Dombrowski. Let's see if we can get up there. There we go. The main girl herself, Nixie XS. She's having a pretty good week. She's going to be wrestling in Las Vegas for Mania week, and she is making her AEW debut this Saturday on Collision.
Cool.
So lots of things going right for Nixie XS, your championship wrestling for Memphis women's champion, the master of the DDT and the Versace of violence. You can see an interview with her promoting her WrestleMania week coming up here on Wrestling Spotlight as well. Well, with that, we'll wrap it up for the week, and we'll be back with some little nuggets from WrestleMania. Follow us on the social medias, follow us on X on Instagram, and catch some of those. Mr. Cincinnati, where can people tune in to catch some of your work as we're building up towards WrestleMania?
Yes, thank you. You can find us on X at Junkies Pod. That's on TikTok as well. We do have an official Facebook page, and you can find us on Instagram at Wrestling Junkies Pod and the Wrestling Junkies Podcast on YouTube. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, so tell one person.
Awesome. And Sonny, if people want to catch up with you and get a little bit of insight as we head in to WrestleMania week, where can they go?
They can find me on Sonny Cain on X at Real Sonny Cain. Have a couple of fans and friends that interact with me there. And you can find me on Facebook at Sonny Cain, the Man Eagle.
Awesome. And stay tuned here to Wrestling Spotlight TV. You can catch my special with the David Difference from Future Stars of Wrestling and Joe Dombrowski for Major League Wrestling, as we're talking about the events that go on around WrestleMania, giving you some ideas for what to do when you're in Las Vegas, and watch some great action coming up from Pro South Wrestling, from Wrestle Arts, from Glory Pro, and more promotions right here on Wrestling Spotlight. Wherever you get your streaming TV, we're there 24/7. Have a great night. We'll see you in the ring.